Welcome YouTube, peace, light, and love. This is Queen Zaire coming at you. I had to re-record my Hoodoo versus Bible video because it was such a poor quality connection on the video. Well, from trying to redo that video, I'm going to make this video a lot faster. So we're going to jump right in. A lot of people have questions about whether or not Hoodoo is is hidden in the Bible, and I try to tell people you have to look a lot deeper than just the typical surface. The Christian church is not going to show you this. Half of them don't even know. The pastors don't even know. So, with that being said, just remember that the reason why a lot of Hoodoo is encoded in the Bible instead of it just being a plain out manual for Hoodoo is because when the colonizers, the white man, came in, they outlawed Hoodoo and all of its practices because they saw that the magic worked. And so what our ancestors did was strategically place the instructions inside the Bible, especially the Old Testaments and the Old Testaments going back, New Testaments excluded. Now we're going to first start talking about the stones, like our crystals and things like that, and how they have power. And we're going to go to Exodus chapter 28, verses 17 through 19. That's Exodus chapter 28, verse 17 through 19. It says, "And thou shalt set in a setting of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be sardis, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. The second row shall be an emerald, sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a liguire, a gate, and an amethyst." Now, the sardis is the carnelian stone. The carbuncle is the garnet. And the liguire is the lapis stones. And we all have those stones. And you can even read verse 20 as well. And it talks about the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper stones. So there you go. And most women carry them around their neck, in their boobs, because we're supposed to have it in the breastplate. If you read the same chapter, chapter 28, Exodus chapter 28, verse 4, it tells you that we are supposed to make a breastplate made with these 12 stones that represent the 12 tribes of Israel, or the 12 children of Israel. All right, so now we're going to move on to incense and altars. We're going to move to Leviticus chapter 16, verse 12 and 13. And it says, "And he shall take a censer full of burning coals and the fire from the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, and the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he die not, sorry." And so, as you can see in that particular set of scriptures, that they said burning coals of fire, and it was sitting on the altar, because they say you take it from the altar. Your altar is considered like your mercy seat or whatever. And a handful of sweet beaten incense. That's like these little sage pieces I have, small beaten, and bring them within a vial, and that is VAIL. And what that is that's a container, like a vial you put something in. And that's what these adobe shells are. If you can see, I don't know if you can see mine burning, but might burn my house up. Hold up. But it's burning. As you can see, it's burning, you know. In a veil. Hoodoo. In the Bible. Plain as day. And then the other thing it says that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seed that is upon the testimony, and that it die not. So basically what that's saying is your thoughts, the things you have to say, your intentions, that's your testimony, and you burn it with the incense, and it hopefully it lives on and manifests. And that's why I say he died not, because he indicated that whatever that testimony is now went from speech to action. So very, very deep. Okay, so now we're going to go to the tarot cards, shells, coins, dice, aka is called casting lots. All right, and this is going to be Leviticus chapter 16, same chapter, which is moving up to verse 7 through 10. And it says, and he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat which the Lord's lot fell and offer him as a sin offering, but the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement for him and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. So there you go. A prime example of that is if you ever watch the beginning of a football game when they're doing a coin toss, and they tell you, heads or tails, and the team pick a side. They either pick heads or tails. And depending on what team, what they pick, determines, what position gets to get the ball first or gets to take the ball out first, So it's been examples of hoodoo all around us from a long generation of time ago. All right, now we're going to talk about the moon phases. Now, you know how we always worry about, is Saturn in retrograde, or it's about to be a full Libra moon or whatever. I'm just randomly just naming stuff. This stuff may not even exist. I'm just saying. But okay, so when they were saying we're not supposed to observe the moon, when Christians say we're not supposed to observe the moon, here it is written in the Bible where it says we are. And we are going to be in Genesis chapter 37, verse 9. And it reads, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Now, what obeisance mean is honor, respect, worship, adoration. And so if the sun and the moon are honoring and respecting you, you're supposed to honor and respect it back, because an eye for an eye. So there you go. Now let's go on to my favorite part, is the incantations, affirmations, enchantments, your spell work, your words, the words you use. This is my favorite part here, because this is what we do, and what we so Isaiah 47, we're going to read chapters 9, and then we're going to skip down to chapters 12 and 13. So we're going to start at Isaiah chapter 47, verses 9. It said, but these things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, a loss of children and widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for thy great abundance of thy enchantments. And we're going to skip down. I explain that in just a sec. Let's just read 12 and 13. Stand now with thine enchantments and thy multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from the things which shall come upon thee. Okay, so right there, we're going to just hit some keywords. It says, two things will come to thee in a moment, in one day. That's almost like magic, like it just happened instantly, almost, so to speak. You're going to have a lot of it's saying that it's going to be a lot of catastrophes happening, and it's going to affect children and you know, your husband and wife situation, your household, basically. And that's usually what spells do. Spells usually happen, and it's like dramatic. It's not little small things. And they say, they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitudes, for thy of thy sorcery. So what it's saying is they're going to be perfect because they're going to actually work, and that's what makes them perfect. And that's why he referred to them in their perfection, because when something's perfect, it's going to work. It's going to execute. And then it says, for the great abundance of thine enchantment. So it's going to be a multitude of sorcerers, and it's going to be a great abundance of enchantments. And then if you skip down, it says, but it says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, within thou hast labored from thy youth. If it be so, thou shalt be able to profit. So what it's saying, and it said, if it be so, thou mayest prevail. So what it's saying is, if you've been working on this thing since you were in your youth, your enchantments and your different spells and, you know, your spiritual work, if you've been working with this stuff and been into it since, you know, when you were young, and then you've grown and developed and matured, not so much when you were a youth child, but maybe when you first got into it till maybe now. When you first got into it, you might did things and it didn't work, but now you're doing stuff and it's working. And he was saying that you're going to be able to profit from this. You make money. Profit means make money a benefit. And that you're going to prevail, meaning that your spells and your incantations, your jaw works, your things like that, it's going to be successful. It's going to be prevail. That's what prevail means, success. So let's go, and you can always go back. That's why I'm giving you these scriptures, so you can always write them down and go back and read them in detail. But like I said, it is hidden and coded in there, so you have to find it. And because it was outlawed, it's not going to say, yes, it's okay to do this. So you guys need to remember that and keep that in the back of your mind when you're reading these things. Okay, so the next thing is about your rituals, like burning your petitions, your jar magic, your candle magic, you know, voodoo dolls, you know, all kind of hexes and all of that good stuff. We're going to start at Leviticus 2, chapter 1 through 3. And this video might actually be shorter than the last one, which is actually awesome because I don't want to keep you guys forever. All right, Leviticus chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And it says, and when any will offer a meat offering unto the Lord, his offering shall be a fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it and put frankincense thereon. And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests, and he shall take out his handful of flour thereof, oil thereof, and with all the frankincense thereof, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire of the sweet savor unto the Lord. And the remnant of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his son, and it is a thing most holy of the offerings of the Lord made by fire. All right, so let's break that down real quickly. All right, so we're going to think about old days where they weren't going in the grocery store buying flour. They were actually having wheat stalks, and they would take the wheat stalks and they would, break it down to herbs, and then they would put it in the mortar and pestle, and they would grind it into a fine flour. And that's the same thing we do in Hoodoo when we use our herbs. We put our herbs and our spells, and we put them in a pedestal and mortar, and we grind those things up. Okay, we put oils on it. We use oils to set our intentions as well. And then he said we put incense, and frankincense. But you have to understand what frankincense is. It's a clearing agent. It's a protection thing. We always put salt and sage everywhere. So and then it says he burned a memorial of it. That's what your jars are. They're a memorial. They're something that reminds you of what you're doing. A memorial of it. You burn it on your altar. And the sweet savor of the Lord. But the key thing right here, and it said it is a thing most holy of the offerings made by the Lord. That's in verse 3 of Leviticus chapter 2. It is. He's talking about your offerings, your rituals, your jaw work, your petitions, your spell work. It is a thing most holy of offerings made to the Lord. So remember this: when you are working in your spiritual work and doing stuff, and you're making offerings and sacrifices, and you're burning candles and doing your enchantments, you are doing exactly what the Lord wants you to do. According to this here, it says that it is a thing made most holy of offerings of the Lord are made by the fire. So when you go to church, you don't really see fire and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then we're going to go to Leviticus 5 and 12. Did I look up 5 and 12? No, that wasn't the one. And Leviticus 6 and 14. And we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 6, verse 14 and 15. And it says, and this is the law of the meat offering, and the sons of Aaron shall offer it before the Lord, before the altar. And he shall take his handful of flour of the meat offering, and the oil thereof, and all the frankincense which is upon the meat offering, and shall burn it upon the offering for a sweet savor, even the memorial of it unto the Lord. All right, but anyway, so there you have it. It's plain as day. So again, when people try to tell you that witchcraft is not witchcraft. I'm not even gonna say witchcraft. Hoodoo. When people try to tell you that hoodoo is evil, don't believe them. Them Christians, they're evil, because it's written right here giving us instructions on what to do and how to do it. And they'll tell us, oh, well, that's not in the Bible. You're not supposed to do that. This is what the law was. And the Bible said that the law is not done away with. But Christians will tell you that because they don't even really believe in the Old Testaments. Ask them. They believe in Psalms, but they don't believe in the Old Testaments. And they don't even know how to really use Psalms. So, but that's a topic for a whole nother thing. Anyway, so hopefully this video was much better than my last few videos. I'm sorry it took so long to get this information out. Sometimes you are distracted by the enemy, and so with that being said, just keep moving forward. Even if it don't turn out right, just keep moving forward. And the universe and all your ancestors, they'll bring you a better opportunity to do better the next time. You know what I'm saying? If that's your call. So don't ever forget that. Peace, light, and love. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We'll see.